build an OpenAI-Style paywall in FastAPI. So I have created a document. We'll go through the document. We will use Redis rate limiting, tiered API keys, plus monthly usage credits. And this is a Dockerized productionish demo. The invisible gatekeeper. Every developer dreams of building an API that people actually use. But what happens when they do? Suddenly your traffic spikes, thousands of requests hit your endpoints, your costs rise, your database gaps for air, and that is when most APIs break, not because the code failed, because there was no gatekeeper. Hi, welcome to TechieTalksAI. I'm Sri from Shogini. On this channel, we showcase hands-on demos and insights into AI automation and no-code tools. We have created several Make.com modules to simplify no-code automation for you. Subscribe and join us on this journey into the future of technology. In this project, we build that gatekeeper, a real-world paywall system inspired by how OpenAI and other SaaS giants manage access, control costs, and scale fairly. It is built with FastAPI powered by Redis and tracked by SQLite. How does it work? Each user or client app gets a unique API key, like we demonstrated in our previous two videos. Behind the scenes, that key maps to a tier, free, pro, and enterprise. Every incoming request passes through a smart middleware layer, and that checks: 1. Is the key valid? 2. What tier does it belong? 3. Has the user hit their limit? That check happens at lightning speed inside Redis. An in-memory data store that holds short-lived counters for each endpoint and user. We will see that in the demo. Redis keeps your API key safe from floods and DDoS-like spikes. It knows exactly how many calls each key made in this minute and enforces 429 or too many requests HTTP response instantly. But we didn't stop there. While Redis handles short-term rate limits, a lightweight SQL database tracks long-term usage, that is monthly usage totals, user credits, and quotas. That is what lets you simulate a real SaaS billing model. Free users might get 100 requests a month, pro users 10,000, and enterprise customers unlimited with analytics. Together, Redis and SQLite form a perfect duo: speed and persistence. Redis protects your runtime, SQLite records your history. And the best part, it's fully containerized. You can run it anywhere locally on a VPS or scale horizontally in Kubernetes. Redis handles global counters shared across replicas, while SQLite can evolve into PostgreSQL, and we have covered a master-slave distributed PostgreSQL database in one of our previous videos. We can also have MySQL scalable database with master-slave configuration. And this is for enterprise-grade tracking without touching your core logic. This isn't just another FastAPI demo. It is the blueprint for how modern SaaS APIs survive and scale. You are not just learning code, you are learning how to build digital infrastructure that protects your product, your users, and your business. Welcome to FastAPI Paywall project, where every request earns its right to exist. In this project, we are implementing API key-based tiers, free, pro, and enterprise. Then per endpoint rate limiting. And this happens in Redis. Okay, so this is fixed window real-time rate limiting. And this can be overridable per tier and per endpoint. Then monthly usage tracking using SQLite. Then simulated billing where we can add credits. Then mock real OpenAI. So instead of having a real API key, we can just set a flag so that it'll just mock, because our goal is to focus on paywall and rate limiting the API endpoints. And the whole application is Docker Compose based. So this is the project structure. On the root, we have the Docker Compose. And application is nicely structured into separate files which are included in the main.py, which is the main file. And this requirements.txt has all the libraries to be included in the project, and Docker file is the template to create the container. Okay, so we have .env.example that has the environment variables to be set. We will need to rename this and make it .env. Let's proceed. I'll be sharing this documentation that contains this entire project in the description. So this is the structure of the .env, and here we have the Docker Compose, which has the Redis database and the API, which has all the endpoints. So before we get into the code, let's run and see the application. So how to test the application is also shared in the documentation. That is what we will do. I'm in the folder where we have all the files that we just saw. Docker Compose up build. Okay, application is ready. It is listening to port 8000. Let's keep 2 more terminal windows. I'll change the color of these terminal windows. Okay, I have 2 more terminal windows ready here. First, let's run the health check from the second terminal window. Okay, it says health check, okay. And health check, there is no rate limit. Then next one, who am I? This is a free tier, credits 0. And this also has no rate limit. Now we will call the chat endpoint in a loop, say for 7 times, and see the rate limit exceeding. Okay, see rate limit exceeded. First request 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we get too many. See request number 6. See here, request number 1, it succeeded. Rate limit remaining 4. When the request is 6, it says HTTP error 429, too many requests. Okay, so next is credits. Here we can add credits. So credits 100. Now see here, we have added 50 credits. So now the credit has become 150. So this is a rudimentary example of how we can manage the billing mechanism. So we will get into Redis on another window and look at the keys. We also have a debug endpoint for the SQLite, which will read the billing.db SQLite file and show the settings. And here, free 123 key, 65 requests we have used. Let's use some more. And let's see it. See here, we have used it 5 more times. So how much ever we try to use, it will only allow 5 during the window. See this? We have tried much more than 5, but it is limiting it to 5. That is why it's getting a rate limit exceeded after 5 requests. So monthly limit is saved in SQLite and Redis. Like we said earlier, we look at the currently active limit. so that distributed denial of service type of attacks can be prevented. Let's test these endpoints. So this is showing only accounts for a specific key, chat endpoint using free 123 API key. It returns the chat response, which is a mocked response, which just echoes, but you will notice that the usage this month is getting incremented. See, 85, 86, 87. So this way, SQLite handles the monthly usage limit. So Redis keeps track of the denial of service attack. So how many calls are happening currently is being limited. So to demonstrate that, let me make a request. See here, immediately if you check, let's wait for a minute. See, rate limit later, 7 more seconds left. See here, rate limit has been reset. Let's make another request. So now it's saying 53 seconds left. See here. So it will limit the number of requests that this endpoint, chat endpoint can receive every minute. So now rate limit remaining 4 and 33. Now we have used 3 requests. 3 more requests are remaining within this minute. 1 more request is there. And rate limit exceeded came, and after 30 seconds, this will go. See, it has been cleared. Now if you try to access, it will work. So that is how Redis maintains the denial of service type of attack handling. That is how many requests we can receive every minute. Now, rest of the video, we are going to go over the files. We saw the project structure. So in the APP folder, we have the application. We have 2 containers. One is the endpoint container, another is the Redis container. So we have app settings, which is config.py. This is the centralized configuration. This class settings is the centralized configuration object. So all settings are saved in this settings class. And the DB URL is our SQLite database path. All tiers, keys, and overrides are handled in this tiers.py. So this way, the project is structured nicely so that it is easy to manage. And Redis-based fixed window rate limiter happens in this limiter.py. And here, HTTP 429 rate limit exceeded or too many requests error is returned. Then billing, quotas and credits are done through billing.py. And here we have the add credits. And this is using SQLite. And this is the OpenAI mockable section where if we set the flag mocked in the env, in the settings, if use mock is set to true. So in the env, if use mock OpenAI equal to 1, then you will not need your real API key. So that is good for testing. And then here main.py is the main application that runs, and here all our modules are loaded here. OpenAI client, billing, limited, tiers, and config. Here we are defining the endpoints starting from /health, who am I, and chat interface has the paywall included. Paywall uses SQLite database and Redis rate limit. Using Redis, rate limit per minute is handled here. enforce rate limit, and paywall is monthly quota managed using SQLite is done here. Then we have ingest endpoint. That is, let's check each endpoint and see how it responds. First is, let's pass it to JQ. So properly format. So health check just returns status OK, just to confirm that our application is working. Then let's check free 123 API key. It is a free tier, credits 0. Next, Pro 456 API key. See, it has 200 credits. Let's see what happens if you don't pass the API key. It's saying invalid or missing API key. Then what we will do is, we will run a loop to access the chat endpoint 7 times. We are only allowed 5 requests every 60-second window by Redis. Let me change the key to Pro 456. And see here, 60-second window. And it has rate limit exceeded. It has 30 requests per minute. Okay, 23 remaining. Okay, so let's reset it. The remaining 2. So now rate limit exceeded. And within 60 window, and retry after 32 seconds. I'm sharing complete documentation for you to experiment this yourself. So what you have just seen isn't just another API project. It is a framework for how modern SaaS truly works. Every request, every token, every limit now has a story, a boundary, and a purpose. Redis stands guard, lightning fast, enforcing fairness. SQLite keeps the records, ensuring accountability. Together, they transform a simple FastAPI app into a living, scalable ecosystem, one that protects your backend and powers your business. So the next time you ship an API, remember, performance is not enough. Policy matters, security matters, monetization matters. This is how you build systems that last. This is how you grow from developer to architect. I am Sri Prakash Neelakandan, and this was the FastAPI Paywall project. Go ahead and build your gatekeeper. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your support really helps. Have ideas or suggestions? Drop them in the comments. Let's build together. At Shogini, we offer expert NoCodeMake.com and Python AI automation consulting with ready-to-use modules to jumpstart your projects. Stay tuned and subscribe for more.